Hi, my name is Nathan, and today we're going to do a comic book review of Spawn, issue number 307, Prophecy of Death Part 2, brought to you by Rated Comics. Let's get to it. Before we get into this issue, in Prophecy of Death Part 1, a mysterious orange energy had engulfed Spawn and set him hurling towards a horrific version of the future. A future that, if Raptor is to believe, is all Spawn's fault. Now the showdown is set to begin. The Hell Spawn versus the Angel Slayer. Now, Earth is merely a nuisance. We get into this narration where Earth is getting in their way as Heaven and Hell wage their endless war against one another. So if centuries of their callous slaughter could so easily be dismissed, then Spawn is equally unmoved by the fact that he's just killed the only woman left alive in this new reality. And that was Raptor's bond, Claudius or whatnot. And that was in the previous issue. She was the last one, says Raptor, as he unlaunches himself at Spawn, ready to get at the action. And the reason for Spawn's coldness is because even when his enemies think they're different or that they're somehow changed, at their core, they'll always be evil, regardless of their dissolutions to the contrary. Now we're all condemned, says Raptor, and Raptor continues his enraged speech. She said you'll be coming, that you'll return to the devastation that your kind created. Spawn's like, man, I'm deaf to all this, I'm numb to all this, man, I'm Spawn, baby. And instead, what Spawn decides to do is he readies himself using a portion of his limited powers that he still has, because to justify himself to his enemies would encourage even more rambling. And with this type that Spawn is dealing with, he has always found that less is more. And Raptor's like, my powers are fused with her, and he starts developing his arms back. But I didn't want it that way. She begged me, told me to survive long enough to find those whoever destroyed our planet. And Spawn's like, yo, what are you saying, bro? Having just fallen out of the darkness, Spawn assumed he was back on Earth, which he is, but he also assumed he was back in the 21st century, which he's not even close to being back there. But somehow Spawn was pulled through a time continuing loop, and instead of getting off at the same place he started, a ripple occurred, throwing him off before his hellish ride was complete. And what's worse is that Spawn may have caused all this damage himself. And Spawn's like, yo, man, I need to get out of here. Like, he knows something's off over here. The problem is, Spawn doesn't know where to go. If he teleports back into the shadow darkness, will he just get lost again? But if he doesn't go now, he might not have the power to try again. Devil, says Raptor, why have you made me weak? And Spawn doesn't know how or why, but he knows this deranged man is somehow draining Spawn's energy too. Those two are feeding off each other's life force. If I'm gonna die, then you're coming with me, says Raptor. And Spawn is beginning to feel what little power he still has start to drain away from his body. The planet is slowly eating at both the life like everything else that's connected to it. The heartbeat of this world is ebbing its way to a distinction. And somehow, this madman and Spawn are part of this insane puzzle going through something else at play here. And there is something else at play here, but it isn't heaven or hell. Spawn feels it. Spawn feels it's much bigger than those two. Much bigger. But it just needed the right catalyst to trigger an awakened spirit. What the hell? So they go back into this darkness, Spawn does, fights this dude. Now something else is at play that's manifesting or getting born again or whatever the case may be. Now as Spawn tries to escape into the darkness, his mind is burnt with searing memories from Raptor's past. Master, says Raptor. And those memories have a cryptic tale to tell. And then we see this dialogue of this cage in hell or this prison in hell. And this guy's telling Raptor, your attempt at stealing away my throne never stood a chance. You know that, right? I've got spies everywhere. And a small army of loyal soldiers willing to die for our cause. Sadly, I thought you might be part of that movement. And remember how you used to boast to anyone who listened about your grand visions for hell? You were so persuasive to so many, and I admired how many you killed along the way who disagreed with you. Loyalty is your only currency. Without it, they won't follow you. And those who aren't built to be leaders can't understand its value. That's why I've chosen you, Raptor, before Raptor was Raptor as we see him kind of in human form, but before he gets formed into Raptor, or full-on Raptor. That's why I've chosen you. They don't know you yet, so you can infiltrate the ranks, kill those you deem unnecessary. Like you did, says Raptor, exactly like I did. God, the clown, none of them stood a chance. And none of them finished what they started. And none of them ever wanted me free, because once that happened, they knew if they could control Simmons, they have no chance with me. All I need now is someone to unlock the final door for me, and that's where you come in. This guy tells him, I don't know who this guy is just yet, that we're going to convert this planet, make it our image, and the millions who will fight against us will blame the Hell Spawns for everything. It may take centuries, but when we get there, I promise I'll serve you, the carcass of the man responsible for creating me. Al Simmons, that's the man I'll serve you. He never knew what he unleashed with my death. He had no idea he had sentenced me to the end of humanity when he killed me. When he does, I'll make sure he'll scream and scream. I know that reference, and that's a reference from Spawn, issue number 5, when Spawn killed Billy Kincaid for murdering all those children. Then you could take over his mantle with a new identity filled with memories. That'll be so convincing, you'll think everything you've done was in the name of justice, and Raptor's eyes gets red, and he gets to flame, and he's ready for this action. And so, answer a simple question, says Billy Kincaid. I know who this is right now. I don't need no big reveal at the end. Yes, says Raptor. Can you be loyal to me? And Raptor says yes. And with that single word, the attempts at intersecting the future and the past began. The problem is, that's not how nature works. It won't tolerate being forced into something that isn't natural. So when Hell's ambitious goals were thrust upon the world trying to destroy man and conquering heaven, it also woke a sleeping giant. That result will soon make its presence known to Spawn. But Hell's initial plan was to tap into the emotions of Al Simmons, the one 100 years later would be dubbed Patient Zero. They always knew the Achilles of this man was his emotions. It wasn't their physical skills or greed. Take away the thing that mattered to them most and they would be forever broken. And in Al Simmons' case, it was Wanda. It worked on Patient Zero in the beginning, and it continued to work through the countless decades until the servitude of humans turned their own actions into wars so devastating that the very air became poisonous to most inhabitants. Al Simmons may have been the first target, but others, blinded by their faith and loyalty, followed orders that would kill their own loved ones. And by that time, anyone could comprehend that their delusion of their actions had been set. Even the villains convinced themselves they were the heroes. Pulled deep into the blackness where Spawn thrives, Raptor won't allow himself to become a captive. If he can't control Simmons' mind, then he'll make sure Simmons can't control his either. Your time will come, Hell Spawn, says Raptor. The shadows will turn on you when you least expect it. Then you'll know what I'm feeling. The losses I've had to endure all this time, I'd sooner die than serve you. Raptor, you can't, says Spawn, but Spawn grips his teeth. It had only been a few moments lost in the darkness for him, but for Raptor, it was years of being lost. Time had twisted itself once more. And though the shadows had blanketed Spawn a short period of time, his mind saw flashes of something lurking in the background. Someone who had waited generation upon generation to put this chosen one directly into spiritual contact with Spawn. Why? Because it only wanted one thing, and Spawn knows what that was. The beast has been freed. It didn't want Raptor as a warrior. He wanted him as a sacrifice. Frozen in that thought. Now, Spawn doesn't know, but we know it as a reader that it's Billy Kincaid coming back in action. Frozen in that time, Spawn wills himself to find a way back home, to get back to where he belongs. As he passes through that maze of time, something that follows him. Something is following while he's doing that. And it'll take some time before the two come face to face. Unfortunately, when that meeting does happen with the two, unspeakable horrors will have already been committed. Screams of anguish. Parents will fill the air with howls of some injured animal. Week after week, these acts of slaughter will continue on the most innocent, and that most innocent will happen of that slaughter again and again and again, and it will happen with no way to slow it down or stop it. And since this beast, it can move so easily in and out of the shadows, it can be anywhere at any time, and it is invisible, like a ghost on the souls of tortured bodies of so many children. On that night when Spawn and the beast will once again meet, the monster will introduce himself again. Says the monster. And those words will forever haunt Spawn. What's the matter, Simmons? Of course it had to be me, but not Billy. He's gone. Now there's only Kincaid. And that is the end of this issue. I mean, I love the payoff that is Billy Kincaid. I didn't think this was the best issue overall, but now that I've read future Spawn issues, I'm going back to the past to catch up on Spawn issues. This Billy Kincaid and Spawn meet in King Spawn, either issue 3, 4, or 5. I don't recall, but I'll put the card up top in the link in the description with it and what issues they met. And that was a gangster issue when they did meet, and that was an awesome fight when a demonic Billy Kincaid, after Spawn tortured him and murdered him in Spawn issue number 5, now he's back for some more action. So guess what? I just love the payout here. Did I think the issue was great? I mean, it threw me on the loop in Death of Prophecy of Death Part 1. But hey, I mean, I thought it was cool. I thought it was okay. With all that being said, Spawn, issue number 307. What you guys think of the comic books? Comment below, let me know. And also, if you want to add this comic book to your comic book collection, link in description if you wish to purchase this comic book. Support the art, support the industry. And if you like the content we're throwing up, you know what to do. Don't be shy and don't be stingy. Here at Rated Comics, we do awesome comic book reviews, comic book related content with the occasional comic book giveaway. Thanks again for watching. Until next time.